Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the NFL Draft Triple Take presented by UPMC. Mike Prisuta, along with Matt Williamson and Dale Lolley. We're getting you ready for the NFL Draft position by position. We're going to talk a little safety today. And before we get started doing that, I want to take an opportunity to remind everyone that all of this content will be shared on Steelers.com, the Steelers mobile app, and the Steelers official YouTube page. You can get the audio version on the Triple Take podcast and also on Steelers Nation Radio. And if you want to subscribe to that Triple Take podcast, and hey, why would you not? You can do that wherever you download your favorite on-demand audio content. Matt, safety, an interesting position because you got to know what you're looking for. There are two types of safeties in play in the NFL these days.
I actually think there's three types of safeties, Mike. I mean, I think there's the strong guy who plays in the box and ends up doing a lot of dime linebacker stuff nowadays. The true free, and they're harder to find than ever, the center fielder type. But then you get these Tyrann Mathieu's and corner safety tweeners that are kind of do a little bit of everything, play man coverage against slot guys. And not to speak for Dale, but I know he really put a premium on coverage on these rankings, and that makes perfect sense. Versatility and coverage.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I did here. And I put a premium on guys who can do a little bit of everything, but can also play center field, because I think that's the hardest thing to find, to your point, those guys that can cover a lot of ground on the back end, but then also can drop down and cover somebody. So, I think you're seeing a lot of, to your point, guys who maybe have some corner backgrounds, who then get converted to safety. Again, I think that's what, as teams take their safeties and move them to linebacker, they're now taking their corners and moving them to safety to be able to cover all these extra, 4 and 5 wide receiver sets. And so you're seeing a lot of better coverage guys coming out at the safety position as well.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on that center field point. Turns out it's hard to find a good center fielder in two sports. If you find one, hold on tight. Dale, let's get into our top 5 list. Why don't you lead us off with your number 5?
Well, I've got Pitts Paris Ford there. And of course, this was before he ran a 4.940 at his pro day, but he doesn't look like a 4.9 guy on tape. I mean, he's got a corner background, gets his hands on the football. He had 6 interceptions, 21 career pass breakups. He's physical. I think he does a lot of things, actually 6 interceptions the last 2 seasons, I should say. And so I think he does a lot of the things that you're looking for there. I think he can play special teams for you and be pretty good there as well. And he's got the size. He's not one of these undersized guys. Like I know Matt's guy. I think the guy Matt has at 5 is a bit undersized.
He's actually my sleeper that you're talking about. I'll
okay.
bring him up. I'm kind of cheating with him as a sleeper. We'll get to him at the end of the show. I had a hard time coming up with 5. I don't know about you guys. I mean, we recorded the linebacker one recently, and there was so many names I wanted to put in my top 5 and couldn't fit them in. Safeties, I had a hard time coming up with 5 that I would kind of vouch for. I went with Syracuse Andre Cisco. The Cisco kid is my number 5 guy. He's a wild card. I mean, if you watch just his highlight tape, you'll be like, this guy should be a top 10 pick. I mean, flies around the field. He's big. He's fast. But his lowlights are equally concerning.
And the injury too, right? The injury.
Yeah, he had an ACL this past. Yeah.
I had him at 4, Matt. 13 interceptions and 14 pass breakups in 21 career games.
Yeah.
But he probably gave up 13 touchdowns as well.
Couple of forced fumbles as well. I gotta acknowledge the Cisco kid was a friend of mine as well. And I had him at number 4. At 5, I went across the compound to Pitt, but I went with DeMar Hamlin, other than Ford. Number 3 on my list, Richie Grant of Central Florida. And I think he's a guy who can do some of that nickel stuff that you were referencing, Matt. He got his hands on a lot of footballs. 6 interceptions in 2018. That's a lot in a college season. Also had a couple at the Senior Bowl, 2 in 1 practice, and he's maybe even cornerback capable. So that's a versatility guy. Dale, you and I on the same page there at number 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could play some corner for you. I think he can come up and play the slot. 5 forced fumbles in his career, so he's active, as a tackler as well. Gets his hands on the ball. I think maybe he's a more of a free safety that gives you some flexibility, that you're not afraid to match him up on some people because of that size, and very productive. 250 tackles in college as well, which is just crazy. That's a lot for a safety. Really a good, solid all-around player. Doesn't really shine in any one aspect, but just does everything pretty well.
And Matt, you made it unanimous in terms of our number 3 selection.
Yeah, I like him quite a bit. I mean, I agree with everything you guys said about him. Versatile, has a single high background, can also come up and play the slot, good versatile run, really good understanding of the game. He's listed just under 200 pounds. He looks leaner than that to me, but hey, I'm nitpicking.
Matt, let's stay with you and get to your number 2.
We didn't mention my number 4. I have Trevon Moehrig from Oregon as my 4.
My bad.
Let's stick with him real quick. I mean, he's got really good size. He opted out this past year. He played a lot of slot in 2019. So he's a little bit of a projection. He isn't a killer in terms of hitting and playing the run, but there's a lot to work with there. He's just a little bit of an unknown. I mean, we haven't seen a ton from him lately, obviously.
Dale and I both like him at number 2. So
okay.
We're with you on that. You went another way, though, on your second guy.
Yeah, I cheated a little bit. And I mentioned that safeties were hard to come up with. Maybe Elijah. I kind of put a corner here, to be honest with you. Elijah Molden from Washington probably is a slot corner at the next level, but I think there's a lot of
time out. Dale, are we allowing this? Are we going to further review this?
Well, if we don't allow it, then I guess we got to start retaping. So I guess we're going to allow.
It's good. It's a safety.
Well, Mike, if you recall when we opened the show, you said, "Well, there's 2 kinds of safeties. There's a free and a strong." So I wanted to kind of sneak that in there.
There's also cornerbacks.
There's also the cornerback safety guys that I could call a corner, like Elijah Molden.
There's also big linebackers.
Right, the defensive tackle types. Right. I think he's a lot of Tyrone Matthew, Buda Baker, can do a lot of different things around, and probably is a slot corner.
Yeah, Dale, he was probably going to be on my corner list. I haven't gotten to that one yet, but I'm going to reserve the right to put him in there if I so desire.
Yeah, absolutely. But to our number 2 guy, Mike Holland. He didn't play last year, but in his first 2 seasons, 9 interceptions and 10 pass breakups in his first 2 seasons. This guy gets his hand on the football, and he also averaged 15 yards as a punt returner.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when he gets his hands on the football, watch out. Can play multiple positions for you. I think some teams may even see him as a cornerback. There's that possibility there as well. But I think he's more of a free safety type that, let him put his eyes on the quarterback and go get the football.
15.3 yards per punt return.
There you go.
For those of you keeping score at home. And 4 picks and 4.5 tackles for a loss. So he's making plays in the backfield and he's making plays down the field.
And on special teams.
And on special teams. Can't ask a whole lot more than that. As is often the case, the number 1 prospect is unanimous. Dale, you want to lead us off there?
Yeah, Trevon Moehrig from TCU, 6'2", 208 pounds. I mean, he's got the size, but he's a real true free safety. 6 interceptions and 20 pass breakups the last 2 years. He's got rare size for that free safety position. You don't usually see, guys this size playing free safety. They're usually, down in the box guys. But man, he plays the run well. He's got nice instincts in the passing game. Really just the total package here.
Yeah, he's one for me too, and that was an easy one. I think he's clearly head and shoulders above the rest of the safety class, does it all. You mentioned he's got a nice history as a free, but he can come down and blitz. He can play the run. I'm not sure what he does poorly, to be honest with you.
Watching him, it struck me, he makes it look so easy. He is so fluid. It looks like he's not even trying hard. And he doesn't just cover. I mean, he's physical without getting penalties. He plays the ball. This guy was a fascinating watch for me. He just looked so smooth. And Matt, you've got a more extensive scouting background than Dale or I. How much does that influence you when you think, man, this guy looks like he's been doing this all his life?
Yeah, I mean, he's a very fluid athlete. Changing directions in space is effortless. I think he's got a really good head for the game, very good eyes for the game. Doesn't
diagnose and explode, go make the play, get where the ball is.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're watching TV tape, sometimes safeties are hard to find, especially free safeties. That this guy shows up time and time again.
That is a great point. Matt, let's stick with you and check on some sleepers.
I took his teammate, Darius Washington. I'm not sure he's a sleeper. I might be cheating again because he's been on lists now for a year or two. Playing next to Moehrig doesn't hurt his cause. You know, I mean, everyone's there watching him, and you see his partner in crime here. This guy might be smaller than Mike Hilton, though. I mean, he is little. He's listed at 5'8". I'm curious what his actual height is. He's under 180 pounds. He flies around the field, though. I just wanted to talk about him.
Yeah, he's a football player. I just couldn't, because of that size, I think he may be kind of pigeonholed into being, and he plays some slot for you. So I think he may be pigeonholed into that role, which not a bad role in today's NFL. Those guys get paid and they play a lot, but I just don't know if you can in today's NFL with the size of the players and receivers and tight ends that you can play him at safety. I mean, that's going to be tough for him to match up on tight ends.
Dale, you went to University of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I had your number 5 guy, Damar Hamlin. I went back and forth. I had Hamlin at 5 and Ford as my sleeper, and then I flip-flopped him at the last second. And
especially flip-flop him again after those 40 times.
Yeah, they're kind of interchangeable. I think they're both solid pro guys that you could get in those middle rounds that could have long careers. Hamlin is a guy that I think can play some free safety for you. I think, he's got a corner background as well as a 4-year starter at Pitt. So he's got a lot of experience under his belt. There's a lot to like there.
I went with more of a name. I was fascinated by the kid from Virginia Tech, Divine Diablo.
Nice.
And he had me at the Senior Bowl when Andrew Siciliano of the NFL Network went out of his way to point out that he was named Divine because his parents were concerned that Diablo translates in Spanish to devil, and they wanted to counteract that. He's not
his name.
He's not the do everything type of safety, but this kid's a thumper, does have some ball skills, but he's more of that safety linebacker type as opposed to safety cornerback type. You're going to have to use this guy in specific ways and in a very limited role, but why not? He's a sleeper, not a 10th overall selection.
He'll definitely play special teams for you. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and you need those guys.
Demon on special teams.
Somebody's going to draft him late or sign him as a free agent. Talk about a little divine intervention. That's going to do it for the safety review. I want to remind everybody that all these videos are shared on Steelers.com, the Steelers mobile app, and the Steelers official YouTube page. You can get the audio on the Triple Take podcast and also on Steelers Nation Radio. And if you're looking to subscribe to the Triple Take podcast, you can do that wherever you download your favorite on-demand audio content. For Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson, I'm Mike Prisuta. You've been listening to another edition of the NFL Draft Triple Take presented by UPMC.